The more than 2-year-long Russia-Ukraine military conflict is still ongoing. To replenish the military manpower, Ukrainian President Zelensky has adopted more stringent conscription policies, including collective punishment. Conscription 1. Community collective punishment. If the community fails to meet the conscription quota, the entire community will be punished or lose government benefits. 2. Family collective punishment. If the eligible family members refuse to serve or desert after enlistment, other family members will face different forms of punishment. 3. Enterprise collective punishment. Ukrainian enterprises are required to provide manpower for military service. Otherwise, the enterprises will face fines or business restrictions with such a strong forced conscription effort. I wonder how many men will be left in Ukraine when the men are all gone. Others' opportunities will come, according to the report of the Times of Israel on October 6th, on the eve of this year's Jewish New Year Rosh Hashanah. From October 2nd to 4, about 35,000 Hasidic Jews went to Uman, a small city in Vinnytsia Oblast in southwestern Ukraine, to hold an annual pilgrimage gathering. Previously, the number was said to be 14,000. Then it was said to be 25,000. And now it seems there are nearly 40,000. Uman is a small city named after the Uman River. Before the war, its population was about 86,000, and people generally believe in the Orthodox Church. It is about 200 kilometers away from the capital Kiev. However, these days, the streets of Uman are covered with Hebrew signs, and the songs of Jews can be heard day and night. Jews can be seen praying or dancing everywhere by the lake, on the streets, and on the rooftops. This small city has become a sea of joy. Of course, the joy only belongs to the Jews, while the local Ukrainians can only stay away. However, it's no use avoiding. Many local people have been harassed by the outsiders. A Ukrainian woman uploaded a video. The well that her family usually uses for drinking water was jumped into by Jews for bathing. She shouted to stop them, but was laughed at by the Jews. And her husband was killed on the front line a few months ago. But what can the Ukrainians do? As last year, the ones who came here to help maintain order are Israeli policemen, and Netanyahu, who sent the police to Uman, is hypocritically calling on Israelis not to celebrate the festival in Uman because it is not safe. Although the Jewish New Year only lasts for 3 days, the flocking Jews will still revel here for some time. They will come again next year. And the dates are September 22nd, 24, 2025. The dates for 2026 are September 11th, 13. Coming and going has caused a lot of trouble for the Jews, and they also want to settle here. Of course, all this has to wait until after the war ends. Some people on the internet are popularizing science, saying that this is a Jewish traditional ceremony because Uman is a holy city in Judaism, and the tomb of Nachman, the founder of the Hasidic sect, is located here. The Hasidic Jews of the Hasidic sect only farm and read scriptures and do not engage in other occupations. They are not Zionists. Therefore, there is no need to worry that they will carve up the land and become kings here. This is thinking too well of the Jews. Things are not so simple. The so-called celebration in the holy city of Judaism is just an excuse, and the vast majority of those who come are not Hasidic Jews. Last September, the Ukrainian police arrested many Jews carrying drugs in Uman, and wherever they go, it is filled with drugs, alcohol and sex parties. These pilgrims also go to Ukrainian cities other than Uman to look for prostitutes. In 2020, the Israeli writer Amos Osael had written about these problems in the Jerusalem Post, so it is meaningless to discuss on the internet about this or that sect of the Jews. The Jews coming to Uman have only one goal: to prepare for land grabbing. The longer the history of the Jewish pilgrimage is described by the outside world, the more it can prove that they are the masters here and the Ukrainians are the foreign occupiers. What was the pilgrimage originally about? In the 19th century, European Jews were in a situation of being excluded and discriminated against, especially in Eastern Europe, where the persecution was particularly severe. Everything is someone else's fault. So pitiful. In order to strengthen the power of the Jewish community to resist the persecution, the Jews in Eastern Europe set off the Hasidic movement. The source of this movement is Jewish mysticism, and there are many strange rituals. Live sacrifice still exists today. For example, in the United States, they use the blood of live chickens instead of human blood in the past. The center of the Hasidic movement was in western Ukraine. After there were more believers, it became the Hasidic sect by 1847. Almost all the Jews in this area had joined the Hasidic. Its founder was Israel ben Eliezer. The second leader was Dov Ber. After the death of Dov Ber, the Hasidic sect split later. A Jew named Nachman claimed to be the great-grandson of Besht and founded the Bratslavi sect. Bratslavi is a place name more than 100 kilometers away from Uman. After Nachman left Bratslavi, he spent his later years in Uman and was buried in Uman. Naming the sect after a place name is a characteristic of the branches of the Hasidic sect. For example, the ultra-Orthodox Jewish leader Menahem Mendel, who is respected as the seventh-generation Lubavitch, and Lubavitch is a town in Belarus. The seventh-generation Lubavitch Menahem Mendel is buried in New York, the United States. Therefore, New York has also become one of the holy places of the Hasidic sect. Every year, about 5,000 Jewish rabbis go to New York to attend the Chabad Lubavitch International Conference. So, what is the relationship between the holy city of Uman and the holy city of New York? At the source, they are all from the Hasidic sect. After splitting up, they each developed. The leaders, priests of all its sects jointly maintain the ultra-Orthodox Judaism. If it is not easy to understand, it can be understood by referring to the sects of Hindu Brahmin Israeli prime ministers like Begin and Netanyahu are the Kshatriyas and are responsible for providing for them. As for their debates and differences on the concepts of Israel, Jewish state, etc., there is no need to discuss them, and it is too complicated and will become more and more chaotic. In short, all changes remain the same. Their goals are the same. The chosen people of God are above all nations and have the right to get everything they want. Not only Uman and New York, but also Lubavitch in Belarus can be their holy city. If holy cities can be wholesaled, then the promised land will be boundless as a country. Ukraine is already hopeless. It is only a matter of time before Uman is occupied by the Jews. Many girls in Uman have already left here, and some have even married people from all over the world, and the goal of the Jews is far more than just Uman. The leader of the Zionists, Igor Belkert, has long claimed that they will build a new Jerusalem in Ukraine. Kind-hearted people on the internet always like to separate the Hasidic sect from Zionism. In fact, the pioneer of Zionism, Moses Hess, once said, "The Hasidic movement has realized the transition from medieval Judaism to new Judaism with the existing Jewish spirit. During the rise of Zionism, its influence is immeasurable. Zionist elements want to build a new Jerusalem in Ukraine. Tens of thousands of people from the Hasidic sect flock to Uman, Ukraine every year. People who think these two are isolated behaviors may be too naive. The biggest worry of the Jews is, once the Arabs unite to defeat Israel, where will their new home be? Ukraine is very suitable, with fertile land and a key location. All that needs to be done is to replace the original occupants. How to achieve this? By killing with a borrowed knife, of course. The backup is not only Ukraine. Do you know whom I went to worship in New York, the United States, last year? It was the tomb of the seventh-generation Lubavitch, Menahem Mendel. The Jews also accepted his conversion. This work cannot be completed by Netanyahu. This power only belongs to the Israeli Brahmin. Argentina is also fertile and has a key location. If there is no healthy and patriotic force in Argentina to replace Milei, This country will also collapse at that time. The Jewish capitalist group can take over Argentina like it took over Ukraine with money. Are you still afraid of not finding people to farm, raise cattle, and mine? Perhaps everything has already been designed, and Zelensky's coming to power is just one of the links. Let me mention another thing. UMAN was not open to Jews before, and religious festivals were not allowed. The Hasidic sect could only recite scriptures here secretly in 1987. Gorbachev carried out the New Thinking movement in the Soviet Union and released all kinds of demons in the ideological field. In 1988, UMAN was open to Jews. By today, it has become a spectacular pilgrimage movement. The fate of Ukraine has been doomed. However, Zelensky himself may have a significant gain. According to the report of the Ukrainian national news agency UNN, Zelensky has been nominated as a candidate for the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize if he makes more efforts. Perhaps this year's Nobel Prize really will be awarded to him. Many Ukrainian men are brutally fighting in the meat grinder of the front line. But the land, women, and property they are defending are being bargain hunted. However, Zelensky was elected by the Ukrainians themselves. Then fight until the last Ukrainian